Hi, my name is Brian Switchko. There's something I'd like to talk to people about, and I just want to kind of share it. But everybody's, using social media. Everybody uses it in their own special way, and there's lots of different things to use it, be it Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, whatever. There's a lot of niche networks and small stuff like that, and everybody uses it a little bit differently. But there's one thing that I wanted to point out that I don't think anyone's quite realized yet, and that's how social media was invented. If you Google it and you can find out when Facebook was founded, when Twitter was founded, how that came to be, whose idea it was, how it evolved, and so on and so forth. But there's really no definitive answer as to how social media as a concept was invented, and I just wanted to tell everybody how. I ask people a lot of times how they think social media was invented when some people guess, 10 years ago, some people guess 15, some people say, 1920s, some people just throw out random guesses, but no one's really gotten it right. So social media was invented about 32,000 years ago when someone had and actually I've got one of the first posts right here that was ever posted using social media, and if you can see that is one of the cave paintings in Wessex, France. Basically someone had a really awesome day killing an oxen or whatever that is, and they took it back to their cave babes, and they wanted to share it with all their friends, and they wanted to post this story on a wall so that everybody could see it. And I joke around that social media was, invented back when posts were actually made on actual walls. It's something that's not new. Social media, like in terms of Facebook and Twitter, is new as a tool, but the concept itself is thousands of years old. I mean, it was invented when humans started communicating with each other. It's, Facebook and Twitter and all these other different kinds of social media, even, comment boards and forums and literally everything that allows humans to communicate with other humans, and in some cases robots, is a form of social media. And so a lot of people look at it and say, oh, this is the way you have to do it, this is the way you have to do it. And really, there's no right way to do social media. The right way to do social media is whatever's right for you, and that could be anything. You could post, you could talk, you could engage, you could meet people, anything that you can come up with. And I love social media professionals or whatever, gurus, ninjas, and whatever they're calling themselves that day. They walk up to people and they say, oh, you're doing it wrong. You should do it this way. This is how you absolutely have to do it. And that's not true, because sometimes the person that they're walking up to, they need some help. But other times they're doing a great job. I've walked up to people before and said, oh, do you need some help with that? And they go, oh, well, I need help with Facebook. And I go, okay, well, what are you doing now? And they start to tell me, and then they start to tell me the results they've had. And I'm like, well, this is absolutely something I would not recommend for you to do. It's not typically, statistically speaking, successful. But on the other hand, for them, it is. So I go, you know what? It works for you. Keep doing it. And they usually do, and maybe we modify or add something to it. But the truth of the matter is that if it works, then keep doing it. And a lot of times it takes some time to find that right thing that really works. But it's about discovering what's true to you. And one of the other kind of, I guess it's a faux pas in a way, is people get on either their personal page, their business page, or their account, or whatever it may be, whatever network you're using, and they start talking specifically and only about themselves. Hey, we got a new client, we got this new product coming out, we have a sale going on, isn't the weather lovely by our company house, whatever it may be. But they only talk about stuff that's centric to them. Now, if you apply this back to, this kind of social media, where social media is just the essence of people communicating, someone who only talks about themselves is considered, well, annoying and narcissistic. So don't be one of those people. Talk, engage, everything that you do, step back. And if you want to ask yourself, is this something that I should be doing? Step back and go, well, let's take this out of the context of using Facebook or out of the context of using Twitter and say, this is how I'm going to engage with, my audience. But if I were to do it in person, how would they perceive this? If I'm only talking about myself, if I'm not listening, if I'm not talking to people, if I don't have time to engage, that, sounds familiar to a lot of you sole proprietors, that can be taken wrong. And a lot of the time, most of the talking needs to be done about other people. Listen, engage, post things that are helpful to other people but not necessarily related to your product or service, and keep in mind that your product or service is not going to be right for everybody in the world. Because another thing that I say is that there's absolutely nothing in the world other than air and water that is right for everybody in the world. So anyone who says everybody who uses social media has to do this, everybody who owns a car has to own this product, they're wrong, statistically speaking, because there's nothing that's right for everybody. So, take everything where someone says, this is how to do it, this is what works. A lot of the books that say, this is how you get rich tomorrow using this system, they're not typically right, because the person that's writing it doesn't have an open mind when they go into it. In general, for everything, have an open mind. So that's the history of social media. The first post right here, minus some comments at the bottom saying, that was a huge ox, dude. It's basically Facebook. I mean, they posted a photo on a wall, and people could see it, and it just so happens that we can now see it 32,000 years later. So, enjoy, hope this helps, and goodbye.